So, the championship in Ero Pc F1 has already been decided. We know that Drake Dempsey is already Ero Pc F1 champion. But the question is, who's going to take that second place, because we've got plenty of contenders for it. For example, Tony Richer is back from his long absence in PCF1 races. However, he's just 2 points ahead of Arjan Bilbas. So this one should be really interesting. My name is Wojciech Śmigowski, I am Ero Pc F1 commentator and the entire Ero owner, and I invite you to watch Ero Pc F1 Hungarian Grand Prix with me. We're basically going to have more fun than usual, because Drake has already won the championship. The most important stuff has already been decided. Alfa Romeo has 74 points of advantage in the constructors, just to note. So I think this is pretty safe as well, unless the disaster happens and McLaren proceeds, or Ferrari, to win all of the races from now on. Although it's going to be interesting between McLaren and AlphaTauri for this third, and Williams and Red Bull for the position number 5. Maybe you can include Alpine or Haas there as well. However, we're going to have 19 drivers in the lobby today, which has already started, because we are awaiting Jack Harrington, who is about who is going to join during the qualifying session. However, well, simple as that. Welcome to the F1 22 action. As you can see, 18 drivers, although I don't know what Richard Sprague is doing in the Mercedes. Should have taken yet another car. However, we've got plenty of drivers on the outlaps already, and we'll see who these are. The first one to start lap is, well, Drake Dempsey, the Ero Pc F1 champion of Season 9. After 2 seasons where he got an open chance to win it, he's actually done it right now. And well, he can only go for the records now, as he's going to set the first lap of today. Behind him we've got Jonathan Foss. There is one of the Red Bulls, I believe that is Luke Mills. And there is a big gap between them, between the Red Bull of Mills and one of the Williams drivers. So both are on the outlaps. I think that Alpine is currently on the outlap, the one ahead of Drake Dempsey. Should be Justin Chevalier, as he's the lone Alpine driver on the grid today. Hungarian Grand Prix is the circuit with an interesting history in Ero Pc F1, and actually all of the Ero, following a couple of exciting races like PSF1 Season 7 Hungarian Grand Prix or Season 8 Hungarian Grand Prix on the same tier. Also, it is a place of my own personal PCF1 debut, where I finished 7th, which was a pretty decent result. Drake crosses the line to get 15.3 already. What are the next laps? I believe Jonathan Foss is the next one to cross the line, and then we've got Luke Mills. Foss goes 6 tenths slower, and Luke Mills is behind Foss by 4 tenths of a second. Then we don't have Kul Pawlakovic. We got George Parr, but I believe he's just starting a lap. Bakalikor Sprague is about to start it. Pawlakovic is currently on the final hairpin. And he gets an 18.0, but as you can see, he's again not using any ERS. This is one of the trademarks of Kul Pawlakovic already. Not using ERS on plenty of laps. There are plenty of laps on the same set of softs. Don't use any ERS, and then possibly go out on track again on the dying stages of the qualifying, and then actually set a lap. Probably for the Delta, that is. At least you get better understanding of the track in the process. Lutynski 4th, Wales 5th. Very good performance for the Haas drivers as of now. Tony Richer goes 3rd. You can see that although he's missed plenty of races, his pace is still there, as Kul Pawlakovic unfortunately spins, and we've also got the Williams driver of George Parr right ahead, also being spun, so that's an interesting sight. There is also one of the Red Bulls, that should be Nelson, who just has overtaken Pawlakovic. Liefert goes 4th, Chevalier 6th. Anyone about to cross the line now, as Richard Sprague is on the 2 final hairpins. As the Latvian driver about to cross the line set a 50.5, placing him on the 3rd place. Perry Wagner is is currently going through turn 6 and 7 chicane. Now he's entering the beautiful sector 2 section. Basically impossible to overtake, but really cool to drive, at least from my experience. Which is the dynamic part of this track, to be honest. Well, Hungary isn't known for the top speed, more like Monaco without barriers. There's still is a pretty interesting circuit to race on and actually have a battle on the track. As Frey Wagener decides to complete the lap, as he's got no lap time, so I believe this is his first hot lap of the session. Currently AlphaTauri is doing well as Richard is 4th and Leifroyd is 5th. Wagener places himself between the AlphaTauris, and Daniel Bakali crosses the line to get P14, which with a time of 17.5. George Parr and Daniel Bilbas the only ones not to settle up time. As looking at the driver's standing, it's in the maintained, so there is behind the pause menu. Well, as we know, Drake Dempsey has won the championship already, 260 points. Nothing can steal his title now. Tony Ritchie has 93 points, Varian Bilbas has 91. Ryan Gropp is also going to miss Imola and then come back to the racing. Got 85 points. Sami Naka 68, Luke Mills 65, Jonathan Foss 63 and Tim Bayer 55. These are the drivers who have now guaranteed seat. Foss is a 10 of Ero. Quentin Hesh is level on points with Team Duo, but he isn't racing, so this might play a factor in today's in this race actually. With Team Bayer having an opportunity to maybe even jump Jonathan Foss, and if he gets into the podium, he may jump Sami Nagle as well. Kul Pawlakovic rounds out the top 10 with 54 points, and we've got Cameron Dowds with 49. Justin Chevalier 41, and these are the drivers who are likely to fight for the guaranteed seat, because then we've got Marvin Moore, Lucas Lifford, Hugo Nelson 22, 21, 20. So, and to make it even more interesting, Jack Harrington 19, Thomas Gard 18. So basically need someone to score 8th place like Fraser Robertson to get it from 22 to 17. What a nice sequence, by the way, that is. But to the actual qualifying session, Arjan Bilbas is on the lap. And he's doing his first actual hot lap of this session, although there was a little slide on the exit of turn 7. Keeps going on the 6th gear throughout the end of the sector 2, extends the track. However, this lap time of 27.1, let us see what would be the difference. He was actually faster than Drake Dempsey in sector 1, so that would have been very interesting if he had finished the lap. We'll see. No, he's going to the pits, although cutting the line. It doesn't count in qualifying though. But he actually has a potential of maybe even a pole position, as we've seen already from him. Although we have to consider track evolution. The Red Bull pit crew is probably getting Luke Mills back to the pits, as Gunnarson stays out on track to complete a lap, and that's going to be 17.0, placing him on the 14th. Then we've got the 2 Williams drivers, one of them pits, one of them stays out. So I believe George Parr has been given a little bit of a slipstream, which is enough to place him on P12. Maciej Lutiński is on the 9th place as he's starting yet another lap. 43 milliseconds faster in sector 1, but invalidated on the exit of turn 4. Georgievich is the other one pushing. And I'm looking for the drivers. Well, as I was speaking, Tony Ritchie, right on the spot, picks up a provisional pole position with 15.2. And puts Drake Dempsey under a little bit of a pressure when it comes to winning this race, as you might need to note that the most victories achieved by one driver in a row in Ero history is 9, and that happened in PSF1 tier, made by Maxim Rodriguez, the later PSF1 champion of Season 4. Also, Maxim Rodriguez got 11 podiums if we are on that. Drake may equal that record, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 race wins in a row in Ero Season 9, because the only race without this podium is Austrian Grand Prix, where he got penalized for forcing Tony Ritchie off the track, and also a couple more incidents that happened. Anyways, speaking of which, he's not even going to set a record of most podiums in a row in in any tier of Ero, not just F1s. Although I'll need to check these facts as well, as Drake Dempsey is currently on 6 podiums in a row, which could get him to 12 podiums in a row throughout the rest of the season if he stepped on the top 3 every single time. This is also the reason behind the pause menus. I'm constantly checking the standings as Team Bayer is just on the outlap. Sprogis is actually pushing, so no, he's actually just started. Luke Mills crossing the line. He's just starting. Jordevich, though, is losing quite a massive amount. Lutynski invalidated. Wales is going surprise 7th, though. Daniel Bakalik in Sector 3. We come back to our looking through the archives. Steven Prabhu, 7, 9, 11, 14 podiums in a row he's scored, so Drake won't even be close. He is going to score the most podiums in F1's history, if he keeps going on until the end of the season. However, he's not going to get the overall ER record. As Richard Sprogis is the one to complete the lap and one to watch, as Arjan Bilbas, I believe, has not started the lap yet, and he will be starting behind Richard Sprogis. We missed on that bit, but he spun on the exit of the penultimate corner, which is not going to help him, as he makes a beautiful drift, and I believe that was the automatic reset track made by the game. However, Richard Sprogis is not the greatest ending to the lap. That could have been one of the better ones in Ero. Arjan Bilbas actually made the lap, 1:23.9, and as confirmed, Jack Harrington sort of loaned from Mercedes to Alpine for one race, but it's all because Richard Sprogis. If you want any clarification, the car performance in this league, and as well as in the most sim racing leagues in F1 22, the car performance is set on equal, which basically means they have the same engine. There might be slight differences in aerodynamics, but they are little to none. It probably only depends on car's width. As I've heard, Aston Martin was the widest car in F1 22, and Alpine was the sharpest one, narrowest one. But you would have to correct me on that in the chat. But other than that, there is little to no differences, so we'll make something like, as Harrington is a full-time Mercedes driver, he gets points swapped with Richard Sprogis, regardless of the position. Arjan Bilbas, though, finished the lap, goes 5th, ahead of his teammate Jonathan Foss by only 20 milliseconds. As Jonathan is about to finish the lap as well, he's 3 tenths up. He may be going for the 3rd place if he keeps the pace. And he's going for a bit even better one, and he indeed goes 3rd, and he's getting the exact same lap time as Drake. He's also got Lucas Leafrey, but he's right ahead of Arjan Bilbas, so we'll skip to one of the Red Bulls. That is also crossing the line to get 14th. Not the greatest for Red Bull, however they can celebrate another podium after Thomas Grard's penalty for exceeding track limits twice, which was not registered by the game by default. And that is the 3rd podium of Luke Mills. Hugo Nilsson's best result in the Ero career stays the 4th place in Azerbaijan this season, of course, as Leifreut is about to complete the lap, 1/4 second faster, allowing him to go 6th, just ahead of Arjan Bilbas. And that is correct. 15.5, although there was a perspective of him outscoring Richard Sprogis, but that's did not happen though. As I'm looking, the Red Bulls are creating a little bit of a mess. However, thankfully for them, Daniel Bakalik is on the outlap, so he doesn't have to worry about them really. As the Red Bull ahead, that I believe is Luke Mills, is letting past the Mercedes. They have to watch out for yet another Williams driver, that is Quill. But he's just about to start lap as well, so they don't have to worry about him. Continuing though, the McLaren and the Aston Martin have gone out of the garage. I'm trying to look for the car, the only car that is missing, that is the Aston Martin, so we're instantly know that Fraser Robertson is the only Aston Martin driver. If there's an Aston Martin crashing out, that is definitely Robertson. Although I hope he will not crash in this race. The driver has already shown by a couple of decent performances. He's got the talent for PC F1. That includes, well, the unlucky, the very unlucky, we must say, as Harrington has retired due to unknown causes. Coming back to Robertson though, unlucky 5th place in exhibition. Could have been even a podium after the steward verdict. However, Fraser forgot to serve his qualifying one, moving it to the next round, which ended up in the DNFs, quite unsurprisingly. However, 5th place in Spain or 9th in US showed that he's got the potential to score some points each race. He even scored points last week in Singapore. How many minutes left we've got? As only 1 minute and 20 seconds. Well, we're having the final stage of the qualifying. Final laps as Kul Pawlakovic starts his first run, or actually the last one of this qualifying. It may be the first proper one though, as he was not using any ERS throughout most of the sessions, so maybe it is finally time for him to set a proper lap time. However, looking for drivers who are actually about to finish. Definitely not George Bach. However, one of the Hasses, Lutinsky, is warming up. Where's started as well, looking for the drivers who are about to finish. That is Marko Djordjevic in Sector 2. It's basically pushing right now, although it's sitting quite dark on the track. However, we don't expect any rainy conditions today in this qualifying session. Marko Djordjevic is about to cross the line with 2 more corners. This is Ferrari right ahead of him, but shouldn't do any damage. As you can see, both Ferrari drivers are about to start the lap. One of them is actually crossing the line right now. Marko Djordjevic crossing the line for the final lap of the session, setting a 14th place. Arjen Bilbao starts, Janton Voss starts as well. Fraser Robertson about to cross the line and actually finish the lap. Places himself on 10th, which is a very good result. Gunnarson starts the lap. Luke Mills does it as well. One of the Mercedes, I believe that is Bakali, goes to the pit lane. Richard Sprog is about to finish his final lap as well. The time is up in the qualifying. Richards may actually get a slipstream from Luke, but it would be like 3 kilometers per hour, if not less. Sprog is actually goes pole with 15.2. That is putting Drake under pressure. However, Drake does not care and puts a lap that is 30 milliseconds faster. We also were waiting Tony Ritchie, 62 milliseconds up. Now over a 10th up, which may be a pole position for him at the end of the day. He's struggling to get on the throttle on the exit of turn 12, now into turn 13. Really smooth one on the 4th gear, as short shifting is very OP on this game. Tony Ritchie, oh, there's also Team Bayer setting a 15.0. Are we going to see any 14s in this qualifying? Tony Ritchie is placing himself just a 10th behind Team Bayer. At least secures his 2nd place. Janton Voss about to cross the line. Chevalier goes 6th. Bilbas beats him. However, can Janton Voss go to the top 3? No, he's not, as he crosses the line to finish on the 5th place. We've also got Gunnarson, but he's invalidated. We know that Fraser Robertson has just done the lap and will not improve it. However, I believe it's the first pole position of Team Bayer's career, and it is. Team Bayer has got that decent qualifying pace. We've seen him in the top 5 usually, but this is his first pole, which also adds into 1 point to his to the championship, which basically makes him go ahead of Quentin Hesh. Although he shouldn't be ahead of Quentin Hesh before the race, because Quentin Hesh has got 2nd twice, and Team only once. But these are the final qualifying standings. Team Bayer goes ahead of Tony Ritchie to secure his first pole position. Then we've got Drake Dempsey, Richard Sprogis, and on the 3rd row of the Ferraris, Janton Voss and Ero Bilbas. Justin Chevalier and Lucas Lefort make it a French fourth row ahead of Ferry Wagner and Harry Wales. Lutinsky and Robertson, make it 11th and 12th. Luke Mills goes 13th. Then we've got Williams being separated by a McLaren of Georgievich. This time George Paris ahead of Quill. Hugo Nilsson goes 17th. And Daniel Bakalik is the last driver to settle up in this session. Jack Harrington refused to do any. And this is how we're starting the Hungarian Grand Prix in Ero. We might also see an early retirement from the session by Jack Harrington. But apart from that, we should be all good. As we can see basically every single team crew member T-posing. That is really interesting from the Formula 1 game. We've never seen any team crew doing that before. That is a very interesting sight. Like, seriously. Anyway, we're about to see on which tires do the drivers start. And these are going to be mainly, I believe, hard tires, as usual. And it's true. Only Lucas Lefort and Harry Wales in the top 10 go for the medium strategy. Then we've got Luke Mills, Marko Dordevic, and Hugo Nilsson starting on the meds as well. However, it's about to be lights on and lights out. As you're heading onto the track, the Hungarian Grand Prix. The first ever Grand Prix in Eastern Europe. It's about to start right now. It's lights out and away we go. Team Bayer gets a decent getaway. One of the cars is having problems in the midfield. However, it should be Team Bayer leading into turn 1. Drake Dempsey also having a great start. Jumping Tony Ritchie already into second place. Richard Spruggs also tries to find the space to get into the top 3. However, Drake goes wide. Tony tries to make a move on team. However, Drake has been overtaken by Tony again. Now they are side by side into turn 2. Maybe a little bit of a contact there. However, Drake keeps it on the outside line into turn 3, and he should make the move stick. Ariel Bilbas already out of the session, calling out a virtual safety car already, and I see one of the Alpine drivers being out as well. Apart from that, in Harry Wales, all went clean, I believe. However, that DNF from Arian is not what he would like to start this weekend with, and actually finish already. Unless there's again a desync, which we have not seen last week in Singapore. But that is very unfortunate from Arian, and basically eliminates his second place dreams, at least for this week. Now he needs to hope that Tony Ritchie does not get a great day. He's already lost a position to Drake Dempsey after an overtake on the outside into turn 3. And Drake is chasing down Team Bayer, and he's definitely trying to get him after this virtual safety car restart, as we're about to have green flags, I believe. The incident has been cleared already, so we should go, but the in-game steward refused to do so, so we're definitely going through turn 1 under yellow flag conditions. Harry Wales and Justin Chevalier used this opportunity to go to the pits and change their front wings. However, that is the question. As top 16 goes smoothly, when are we going to restart? Now we're going to restart the race, and Drake Dempsey already looking for a move on Team Bayer to get the lead of the race. However, he needs to back out of it. This is a very challenging race to overtake. Lewis Hamilton has already got known about that back in 2021, and Drake Dempsey knows it, prefers to find a better spot for it. Maybe turn 1, when the DRS is actually enabled. As Team Bayer keeps on leading the race. I thought he's gone wide there for a little bit of a moment. However, yellow flags in Sector 2 are caused by Nilsson, by the way, spinning Rabi on his own. However, Drake is now under pressure from Tony Ritchie more than pressuring Team Bayer for a mistake. As you can see, Tony is actually very close. We know that Tony can make a big send on Drake. If you want to name any Grand Prix regarding that, that is definitely the Austrian Grand Prix and the Netherlands Dutch Grand Prix back on February. However, Tony also knows better, also waits for better opportunity to make a move. all of the drivers probably saving their ERS thanks to the virtual safety car. Actually, no, Drake is using it. Tony does it as well. We'll see if it will have any benefits as the ERS has been enabled. Carways is spun round on sector 2. However, probably without any damage. Unless talent, which is on the most known comments by Lando Norris, if you know. Coming back to the front though, as I was making sure Harwell's wing is okay. It's going to probably stay like this for quite a while until someone actually breaks out of the queue and tries to make a move on any of the drivers. We're basically having a massive 14-way DRS train. Although Jack Hamilton is about out of it, Daniel Bakalik is already on the border. As Tony Ritchie spun round in the turn 7 and comes back on track on position number 13, which is a disaster for the AlphaTauri driver. At least this keeps Arjan's second 2 points loss in the championship, which can be restored by just a single race. But Tony Ritchie not having the greatest weekend in Hungary, losing the pole position, and now also dropping all the way to 13th after a spin. But we don't know what happened there exactly. I've just seen Tony Ritchie being spun around and that's it. This promotes Sproggies to get into the position number 3, and Drake having a clean error behind him at least, and not really having to worry about Richard Sproggies, at least for now, as he's planning to make a move on Team Bayer. The ERS levels are pretty similar, as Pavlakovic loses a place to Marko Djurdjevic. Also Tony Ritchie tries to go around the outside of George Pa, and that is move stick. That's move completed by the AlphaTauri driver and Season 8 champion. As Team Bayer is still under pressure from Drake Dempsey, but it's not the first time he's leading the race. We remember team leading in Canadian Grand Prix or Bahrain Grand Prix, most notably. But both of these races have gone into pieces. Not necessarily Canada though, as team has finished second, just behind Drake, but Bahrain Grand Prix definitely getting a late puncture on the last lap as Jack Hamilton has been overtaken by Daniel Bakali. But speaking of team, he knows how to lead the race, and I believe he's going to capitalize on it on the third try. At least not lose too many places, as Drake is just saving his ERS, just chilling behind Team Bayer on the second place, waiting for a better opportunity, maybe right before the pit stops, as Daniel Bakalik spins round on the exit of the final corner. However, he should be back on track. Tony Ritchie, yet another move made, this time on Kul Pavlakovic for position number 11, and he's chasing down Marko Djurdjevic for the last points paying position. We can also see that the top 4 has actually gone far away from the rest of the field. Team Bayer, Drake Dempsey, Richard Sproggies and Jan Foss already over a second ago. Lucas Ferrywagen are putting on a good performance after a disaster of Singapore, where he's basically been crashed out on lap 1, which was followed by a massive carnage, which later on was sort of a desync, but wasn't a proper desync, as it was just Lucas Lifroyd's game crashing out completely, which basically meant that AI took control of it. Hasn't gone the greatest, but now we know that we should actually make a restart on that occasion. We should have done this, seriously. Anyway, speaking of which, Tony Ritchie chasing down still Marko Djurdjevic, and I believe he's about to make a move sooner than later. He's got that pace advantage, so I believe he's going to pull a move, not maybe this lap, but maybe on the next one. As you can see, he's already 6 tenths behind, and I think after this corner, the gap is even going to reduce. Yes, it is. Maybe very slightly, but we're already in 5 tenths of a second, maybe 6. Well, that's definitely 5. Coming back to the front though, Drake Dempsey just 3 tenths behind Team Bayer, so I was thinking maybe a chance of a move, but definitely it's not the zone to make it. Maybe a dive into the chicane. There are drivers that would do it, but not in PCF1. So we're not expecting any of this. Drake Dempsey just 4 tenths behind him, following the McLaren driver really, really closely, but still staying on second. Harrington is out of the race, and I believe that will cause a full safety car. Not again. We're again getting a virtual one. Hugo Nilsson managed to get a physical time penalty during the VSC for exceeding track limits. However, this is the end of the race for Jack Harrington. Very unfortunate though, but got his participated in this race at least. We're again having Drake Dempsey following Team Bio, but I think this one should be cleared earlier than the Bilbas car, as Richard Sprogis tries to find... No, we're actually having a full SC on track. Bernd Berlander actually comes out to lead the race for a bit. Is he going to cause any mess? Well, he's allowing the rest of the cars to overtake him. But this is the first and I believe only full safety car of today's race. I hope at least. And I'm wondering, personally, are there going to be any pit stops? Let's see the tire strategies. I've seen Chevalier and Wales pitting and taking it as a blessing. They are the only drivers of Hugo Nilsson to pit, and Hugo Nilsson has gone hard. So I believe if Luke Mills and Marco Dordevic don't pit now, they're probably going to stay on the mediums for quite a fair bit longer. And Luke Mills actually goes to the pit lane. Same as Marco. To go onto the hard tires for the rest of the race. Tony Ritchie and Kul Pavlakovic going for a risky strategy, I believe, with the medium tires. Same applies for the second Williams driver of George Parr. The rest decides to stay out, and although Mills and Dordevic both go on the hards, Tony Ritchie picks up mediums. But knowing that he's already spun around and lost plenty of places, is he actually going to perform even a better thing when it comes to the strategy, which is going back on the hard tires, which would allow him to go until the end of the race without a single bit of a pit stop. Which is doable, but not possible. What did I just say? Which is doable, but not easy. This is what I meant. As the top 8 has already rejoined the pack, it's already behind the safety car. The rest of the field is just rejoining. Wales. Is that the medium tire change? We'll see about that shortly. He's gone to the pits as predicted, which is within the speed limit. So I don't think he's retiring from the session. Oh, he's actually going on the mediums, so that is interesting. Very, very early pit stop to go on lap 8 and pit for the mediums. These tires might not go to the end. With hards, I believe they will. Actually think they will. The mediums are not so certain. Team Bayer, you don't have to save that ERS, really. You've already got 100%. He's actually burning fuel, I know it. So we're just awaiting. Justin and Harry will now have a chance to make recovery drives. We'll also follow Tony Rich after the safety car restart, as we need to know how many positions he can make without DRS. He's definitely going to send it on Daniel. Maybe even Marco and Luke. Drake is actually having support from Ferry Wagner for once, with his 6th place at the moment, as I'm looking to the driver standings. Ferry Wagner only has 10 points in the season, which is still more than an entire season 8, where he basically DNF'd every single race. and Season 7 when he scored points once, I believe. Progress is being made. And when it comes to Season 8, I made PS F2 tier, not PC F1, where he actually happened to score points once. But yeah, finally, a chance for decent performance for Ferry. With Kari and Justin joining the queue, I believe this might be a lap where we do have a safety car restart, and it is indeed a safety car restart. Team Bayer leading the Grand Prix ahead of Drake and Richards, currently leading from start to finish, and without a doubt having a potential to get at least a podium spot today, maybe even that first race win, which would make him the 4th race winner of the season after Cameron, Drake and Tony. However, Team Bayer is about to restart the race now, and we'll see how he coordinates that one. He's going slowly during the hairpin, but he should accelerate after the hairpin. He does, but Drake Dempsey is nearly side by side with Richard Sprogis, and the Mercedes driver is about to use that, go wheel to wheel with Drake into turn 1, and maybe even pull a move into 2nd place. There's also Jonathan Voss trying to make a move on Lucas Leifroyd. However, I thought someone was spinning there. However, it's Richards making a clean move on Drake Dempsey. Ferrywagen are losing all of the places. As I say, Jonathan Voss goes wheel to wheel with Lucas Leifroyd. The two drivers on the ABS team going wheel to wheel, and it's Jonathan on top. However, Drake Dempsey having a disaster restart to a little bit. Alfa Romeo a disaster in general, with Ferry Wagner spinning and dropping all the way to the last place. However, there's also a massive mess in turn 6 on the positions from 11 to 14 or 15. Basically being like 5 drivers being very close to each other on the minimap at least. Tony, which already is on 8th, just behind Lutinsky, fighting for position number 7. Which means that was a greatly executed restart by Tony. As I said, he was going to send it, and he sends it. And now he's going to send it on Lutinsky as well. Down the inside into turn 12. Makes it happen for position number 7. And now he's after Fraser Robertson. And 6th place in this race already. This might be a very bold strategy, but if a late safety car happens, he's basically sold. He's basically won it, because all of the drivers with him are going to the pits. He can also go to the pits for like soft tires and actually finish the race on the P1. As Tony Ritchie is going to send a move on Fraser Robertson. He does, and that was a big send. However, no consequences in terms of damage and in terms of any colliding, which means Tony Ritchie is ahead of Fraser Robertson already, using this medium tire advantage at least on the first laps after the safety car restart. Now chasing down his teammate Lucas Leifroyd. I wonder if there's any communication between these two, but I believe Tony will be going for the move regardless, as Team Bayer picks up a 3-second time penalty for multiple track limit warnings. As Tony Ritchie about to send the move on Lucas Leifroyd, not quite just yet. He's probably waiting for a better opportunity which might be turn 12. Still going very, very close behind the AlphaTauri driver as we follow the gaps between Bayer and Sprague. It's like half a second. Richards is not going to risk it right now, unless he needs to get ahead of Drake and have that one driver between these two in order to secure the win. However, Tony Ritchie having a better exit out of turn 12, still yet to send it, maybe go around the outside. No, he is probably going to forward it to turn 1, I believe. You can see how close to Lucas he is, and he is going to believe that Lucas actually blocks him. As DRS is now enabled, Tony goes wheel to wheel with Lucas Leifroyd and gets that position number 5 already, after being 12 during the safety car restart, which is amazing stuff from the Season 8 champion. As he's now chasing down the top 4. There is DRS, but not on this particular lap, as the detection point was before the lap 3 of racing, which means Tony can still reduce the gap, as Marko Durdevich spins round in the exit of turn 3. But we do follow now. Oh, Daniel Bakalik has spun around, but actually retired on that lap, and calling out the second safety car. Tony Ritchie, this is your chance to go onto hard tires and actually not care about it until the end of the race, seriously. Unfortunate DNF for Bakali. But good thing is that he's getting the steps in Ero Pc F1 as Lucas Liefeld actually tried to overtake Tony Ritchie. Well, you cannot overtake any driver, even if you go to the pits, unless it's in the pit lane, which may remind you of Sebastian Vettel's 2016 Chinese Grand Prix move. So Richard Sprogis indeed goes to the pit lane, and same applies for Leifroyd Robertson and Harwales, who actually... And Lucas Leifroyd, who's also got a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Richard goes on the mediums. How about the rest? David goes to the pit lane as well. I believe he has wing damage. Ferry Wagner saved after the spin. Leifroyd goes into mediums. Robertson into mediums as well. Where's Harwales in all of that? On 6 laps out hard tires. So currently, Drake Dempsey is leading today's Grand Prix because, well, we need to mention the time penalty that Team Bayer has got. Then we've got Jatan Foss, Tony and Maciej Lutiński of all people currently on the 5th. However, you have to note that he's yet to make a pit stop. And basically everyone apart from 4 drivers have made a pit stop. That is correct. With Harwales already having 3. I swear to God, if he finishes on the podium, just like Quentin Hash in Azerbaijan, who had 7 pit stops and still finished 2nd. After the penalties though, but still counts. As we are awaiting Djordjevic and Ferry Wagner to rejoin the queue, and then we'll restart the race. That will be the next lap, lap 15. Because basically we're going to cross the line on lap to make lap 15 and actually restart the race, have a green flag conditions. Oh, this already looks really interesting. Both of the Williams drivers are on the points, which isn't a usual scenario. Let me just go back to the Constructors' Championship, and this is the reason of the pause menu as well. However, well, Kul Pawlakovic was the one mostly finishing in the points, also having a podium in Bahrain and the 4th place in Canada and 5th in Singapore. However, George Parr, actually any second Williams driver, is yet to score a point since Spanish Grand Prix. And now we've got 2 Williams drivers in the points. Red Bulls, well, Nelson Nelson, also double points. Lutiński 5th, despite not being any higher than 8th in Ero Pc F1 this season. And then we've got Alfa Romeos doing the usual. Drake wins and Ferry Wagner unfortunately bends it. Although Ferry is indeed having a great qualifying pace. And I believe the race pace will come as well. Because the season 5 F2 Championship cannot just get wasted by the spins. Continuing though, McLaren is having problems to score points recently, but they had a decent beginning to the season, so I believe Team Bayer is bouncing this team back to the upper end, as George Parr, as we mentioned, is spun round and dropped all the way to the last place. And also somehow stopped on track while sliding. Which might delay the safety car restart. He needs to cool down his tires now. Which makes it pretty interesting, as we are having green flag conditions very shortly. Team Bayer is leading this race restart again. Just half a sec, of course, these are the safety car gaps, but just ahead of Drake Dempsey, and we'll see how he coordinates this restart, being the 2nd one of today. Team Bayer is leading the race. However, I'm wondering when Drake will try to make a move into any of the corners. This is not yet side by side, which is actually forbidden since the 2022 Australian Grand Prix, as Team Bayer starts now way earlier than usual. George Parr makes 3 overtakes at once to go to the pit lane and actually retire probably, as Team Bayer still leads the race very, very peacefully, as he stays on the 1st place. However, Tony Ritchie will follow him, as he's about to make a move on Jatan Foss, maybe not that quite soon, But knowing that he's got fresher mediums, he will look for the chance to make so. Lutynski stays 5th, and we've got Luke Mills, Pawlakovic, Justin Chevalier, Richard Sprog is about to make a move on Justin Chevalier, as Pawlakovic and Lutynski have spun around, they made contact, and Lutynski drops all the way to the last place. Very unfortunate, but you don't go side by side into turn 4, as Richard Sprogis overtakes Justin Chevalier, but has to give the place back for whatever reason. Luke Nelson tries to look for one as well, but after a little bit of a tap, but no major consequences. He stays on the nymph, then gets overtaken by Robertson, sorry, to drop into 10th place. Richard Sprog is putting on a great performance so far. To make sure he's actually going third to 7th place now, as Justin Chevalier, although he tries to squeeze Richards a little bit, Richards looks for a switchback, a little bit of a contact made, but should be made and done. And that is 7th place for Richards. Also, Tony Riche on the straight makes a move on Jonathan Voss to go into position number 3. And I believe he's going to chase down Drake Dempsey right now. Leifroyd on Dordovic for position number 12 as well. There's plenty of overtaking going on. And I'm full for Vagon because he also has a chance to make one as well. He's using to send it down into turn 2. That is way too far. But I think if he gets a decent exit on turn 5, into turn 3, well, he's not. I was looking for an opportunity to make a move here, but not really, as Robertson trying to make a move on Justin, not quite yet. However, as we follow the Aston Martin driver, the move should be made sooner than later, considering it's on the new medium tires. As following the top 4 still, no changes so far, but we'll move there anyways. Tony Riche, right behind Drake Dempsey, on fresher mediums. So I believe this is an opportunity for him to make a move. He's on the 8 laps medium tires. They are out of the prime. Oh, Tim Pyre is spun round on the exit of the final corner. And this opens up a beautiful chance for Tony Riche to go into the lead of this race, as he's probably going to send it around the outside into turn 1. They are will to will nearly side by side, a little bit of a contact. Tony Riche goes out of the track. However, I don't think it's Drake's fault and shouldn't be reported, as Tony has to stay on position number 2. Robertson, meanwhile, goes into 7th as we speak. And Justin Chevalier, Tim Bayer has just overtaken Ferry Wagner to bounce back into 13th. Plenty of spins from different drivers. As we go through the sector 2, we've only got 3 drivers left in the victory fight basically, and Jonathan Voss is on the danger zone a little bit, as he's 8 tenths behind Tony, which means he may be out of the DRS as well, although Tony has got a little bit of a slide around here, so I don't think he's going to lose any of the time. Well, he's gaining Jonathan Voss a little bit, but only momentarily. He's again back into the 8 tenths, and now I believe Tony Riche, knowing him, is going to go for a move at any possible point. As he's using all of his ERS, he's gaining on Drake Dempsey, and he's going to the inside line. No, he's going around the outside again into turn 1, and this time he's actually ahead of Drake for a little bit of a moment. This time, they have a little bit of a contact, but both stay on track. Tony Riche again having DRS, again pushing Drake to force him to leave some room. Very big amount of contacts, however, with no major consequences. Tony Riche is the leader of today's race. However, you have to remember that he's on the medium tires. He's picked on lap 8, which means he may actually go get a puncture at dying stages of the race. Drake has to go to the pits. However, he will have fresher tires at the end. And then there's a group of Sprogis to Chevalier from 4th to 8th. As we speak about it, Robertson is spun out. Why is always, as I mentioned, some group of drivers, one of them has to spin around and ruin it? I don't know. However, Lucas Leifroyd going for the overtake of the century inside of Fraser Robertson's car. As he's going to go down the inside, he probably doesn't realize he needs to leave a bit of a space. Now it's happening. Well, Lucas, good try though. to get that 10th place, although you have that 5-second penalty for spinning in the pit lane. As we've got a train of drivers, which is massive basically, from Hugo Nilsson on 8th to Team Bayer on 14th. As Harwales was going for a move on Hugo Nilsson at the same time, however, it was just a half look. I don't think it was a proper move. Oh! These two have spun around, and this is a carnage, which eliminates Harwales. As I need to look back on it. You know, I don't like to show carnages in the world of Formula 1 right now, because, well, you can just have the most minor contact in the world. And then we call it a dirty league. Like, seriously, as we're on this round. But this one, we're going back on it. Since 2019 as a lead league. Well, the crashes and carnages are quite okay. Like, they're against the driver's standards. But when it happens, it's basically a sum of drivers' mistakes. And at the end of the day, every single sport is a game of errors, of mistakes. And in 2019, 2020, when there was a carnage during the league race, it was actually deemed like massive, funny and stuff. And now we've got the most minor of the contacts in the world of sim racing. Like, actually have in mind the smallest step in the world, literally. And the league is instantly dirty. And I don't want any of that. However, as one of the band users, as now it's like just have a smallest step in the world and the league is instantly dirty. Well, looking at the chat, I did show tires once, and I'm showing them again, and everyone is on the mediums. Georgievich, of all people, is on the second. Quill on the first place, maybe a little bit expected. But as I'm looking through the footage and I need to see the carnage again, I need to see, because I certainly overlooked that one. You will not see this, but yeah, Harway's goal has gone down the inside, and then yeah, that was way too far. That's 10 seconds. In my personal opinion. Will Pavlakovic of all people leading the race, which is amazing. Tony and Drake keeping currently quite respectful racing at the moment, as although Tony was out of the track for once, kinda forced, but I don't think it was a proper force of track. He was going from behind, so no chance that he would stay on the track surface. I had to go wide, but apart from that, really clean at the moment, and I hope that I don't jinx it, as we know what kind of sense these two can have on each other. As I said, Netherlands, Austria, most notably. And Spain, lap 1. Which you are kind of right about, Thick, as well, bragging a little bit, but I did make a clean overtake in Hungarian Gp last season Pc F1. But yeah, big cent for me only applies on the last lap of the last race. Seriously, like a big cent, desperate one when it comes to the championship fight. Just the only point where I actually get it, get the reasoning behind it. Positions gained, by the way, so we're having a look. Red Bull's having good position gains, and race pace actually with 6 places up. Barko Durdevich 13 places up. Pavlakovic 15 places up, but we know these two on the front have not pitted during the safety car. Tires again, everyone is on the mediums. basically everyone likes the yellow tires. As Quill is about to lead the safety car restart, and I swear if this strategy works out, it's going to be madman. But also Quill has to look out for the tires, same as Marko Dordevic, and also they've got Drake, Tony and Jonathan right behind. And Richard Sprogis as well, if you name it. We're after the third safety car. We've only got 5 DNFs to despite 3 of them. Kinda surprising. As Quill Pawlakovic is going to lead the safety car restart. We'll see if he goes. He goes very, very early. Nearly instantly, as we must say. He wants Marko Dordevic to stop Tony and Drake and create the biggest gap possible before they get to him. But I don't think it's going to last for long. Tony Riche goes down the inside of Marko Dordevic into turn 1. And that was a proper send. That was a clean one. Tony Riche goes for number 2. As Drake Dempsey is also going to overtake Marko Dordevic into turn 2. And that's Quill's dreams of having Dordevic as a safe zone are gone, basically. Jonathan Foss about to make a move on the Serb driver as well, but probably not so soon. You have to wait for the next opportunity on turn 1. As Drake and Tony, again, very close to each other, so I might be afraid that one of them is going to send it shortly. However, Drake decides to keep himself right behind Tony Riche, as Quill Pawlakovic still leads the race, and I believe the 2 drivers behind him complain about being very slow. As remember, Quill is on the very old medium tires, 12 laps old already, and I think Tony Riche is going to send it down the inside into turn 12. As he goes for it, Quill looks after him having enough space, and also, on the meantime, this is a position to Drake. Dordevic is now right behind him again. As Tony Riche is on the lead of the Grand Prix, however, Drake is, I believe, about to send it. Although he knows the championship has already been won. Well, every win counts, at least for the streak to have the record of races in a row. And actually equal it, as Leifrid makes a move on Hugo Nilsson. Then we've got a bit more of a massive gap. I'm watching. Top 10 is actually very close to each other, as Jonathan Foss makes a move on Marko Dordevic to secure position number 4. And now he's being under pressure from Richard Sprogis, and that is yet another overtake on Marko, which makes Richard go up into P5. Quill still on the third, as these two have decided to, well, Richard has decided to go down the inside on Jonathan, and that was a clear fault of him. Djordjevic, of all people, has been spun in the process. I don't know how, but he's done it. He spun around in the meantime. Lutitsky gives him the place back, and he joins back into P15. Richard Sprogis sliding there quite a lot. If he gets overtaken by Lutitsky, I believe he might be giving the place back to Jan. Maybe cancel his penalty a little bit, as Lucas Leifrid clean send on Luke Mills, and we also always have to avoid the clean sends, the clean overtakes. And I do agree on Jonathan not having the greatest dives of all. As we come back to the front though, Drake Dempsey very close to Tony Riche, and with DRS enabled not in this lap, because remember the detection zone is before the lap 3 of racing, so Drake cannot get DRS technically on this place, as Richard Sprogis has made a move on Marko Dordevic, and I believe this one was cleaner at least. Justin Chevalier about to get the podium, as being really, really close to Quill Pawlakovic. Robertson is also very, very close behind Luke Mills. Is he going to remove on this chicane? No, this is not a great place to make an overtake. As the Aston Martin driver keeps himself very close behind Luke, but Luke has gone a little bit wide. This might open a chance into turn 12, which is a proper braking zone for a little bit. Fraser was having a look, but decides not to send it. Justin Chevalier very close behind Quill. But I believe we might be skipping this and go to the top 2 battle, as Robertson, well, has been overtaken by Richard Sprogis as we speak about it. Drake Dempsey, although not close enough to make any sort of a move on Tony Riche, unless it's a massive send, which we'll not see and will miss, as Robertson has been overtaken, Luke Mills now. Pawlakovic is doing a great job defending his podium. But I don't think it's going to last for any more longer. Justin Chevalier goes down inside. Pawlakovic respects the space into turn 2 and now into turn 3. Quill tried to look for a gap, but it wasn't there. As Team Bayer makes a move around the outside of the Williams driver, and without any contact, I believe, Quill has lost 2 places in one go, and I believe he's going to lose to Ferry Wagner as well. 2 clean overtakes though on Quill Pawlakovic. As the top 2 is miles ahead. I know 4 seconds is not a lot, but still something. But you know, they're busy fighting each other. So Justin Chevalier might win the race of all people. Ferry Wagner down the inside of Quill Pawlakovic. No, he was having a chance to actually go for it down inside. But he knows Quill might be out of the DRS and then opening a proper chance to make an easy move into turn 1. Can Ferry make a move on the next lap, as we're watching him looking also at the gap between Drake and Tony, which is getting closer and closer. But I think the second Alfa Romeo driver is the only one making a move now. With Ferry Wagner going 5th, ahead of Quill Pawlakovic, and now Lucas Leifroyd puts the Williams driver under pressure and actually makes it. Pole position number 6. Pretty good move by Lucas Leifroyd to find that bit of a gap and goes for it. Drake Dempsey is still 3 tenths behind. Still very, very close behind Tony Ricci, as on the meantime, despite the fact that they could go for it for the win. Well, if we're wondering about that, Zik, I don't think Lucas has tapped Quill at any point. And this is why I deem it clean. But anyways, coming back to the top 2 fight, Lutynski very, very close behind Anton Voss. Also, well, oh, because of that incident with Red Progress, which is definitely being reported as Drake Dempsey not using any ERS. Tolinka has like 10% more ERS. The top 2 drivers. Oh, this wasn't a legit attempt, I'm saying. As Team Bayer makes a move on Justin Chevalier for position number 3, has Sprogis completes a move on Quill Pawlakovic. To position number 7. Jodewicz very, very close behind Luke Mills, but I don't think he's about to make a move. Quicker we'll see Jonathan Falls making it. As Leifroyd and Wagner having a spin again. That is. There is a chance that might have been a contact with Lucas Leifroyd. As I hope he'll not get disqualified. He'll not. Ferry Wagner. But he's dropping to the position number 13. At least he's going to have someone to fight with. Because that is going to be Luke Mills, who spun around as well on the exit of the chicane. Red Bulls, after having yet another podium celebration, have to struggle again. Although Ferry Wagner with overtake of the century by overtaking Luke Mills in his car. Or something like this. As we're going back to the top 2 as again, that is Drake Dempsey still chilling behind Tony Ricci, who has now near an identical amount of ERS compared to Drake. Justin Chevalier losing nearly a second to Team Bayer now. In total, Team Bayer loses now 5 seconds to Drake. Looking at the test though, everyone is on the mediums. Most of them 8 laps mediums. Leifroyd has put a lap earlier. Pawlakovic and Jodewicz are on the old ones, so I might think Bull has a chance of getting a puncture. And Jodewicz, he's barely going to survive, as Lutynski keeps himself very, very close behind Jodewicz. Oh, Jodewicz has actually gone out of the track, and that makes Lutynski 10th in this race. Very easy overtake, if we're completely honest. As Tony and Jake approaching yet another lap, this time lap 29 When is this going to start? This is the question. As the Alfa Romeo and the Alfa Tauri driver, you'd rather see Red Bull versus Ferrari in real life. However, the academy teams are taking over in Ero Pc F1 when it comes to the victory fights. But Drake Dempsey, again, not making any moves. Robertson versus Pavlakovic. This one is won by Fraser Robertson even before the turn 1. Lucas Liefroyd with Richard Sprogis. And I hope Richard Sprogis will not go for it again when he loses the position here. But they are still side by side into turn 3, and Richard Sprogis can actually race clean for a moment without sending a massive send, although he's squeezing Lucas a little bit. Lucas had to watch out, but you know the nature of this corner. Richard Sprogis defending his position successfully though. There's a 3/10 of a gap between Tony and Drake, and to keep monitoring that closely and waiting for the other fight, but I think there isn't going to be any more fights. As you can see, everyone drives pretty much their own race. Lucas Liefroyd already losing a second. Did he get wing damage? The fight with Sprogis. This is the question. As Tony Ricci and Drake Dempsey still 1-2. Easy. Well, Drake has already won the championship. It's only for the winning streak for him. As we're having 6 laps to go in this race. Corner by corner, sector by sector, lap by lap. These two are just keeping it on the stall, basically just being very close to each other. Not really commenting to any moves. They know they will be first and second, as Team Bayer is basically 6 seconds behind now almost. And this is going to be shortly. Every single of the drivers is actually pretty much driving their own race. I was wondering if there's any possibility of rain today, but it isn't. Drake Dempsey is using just a little bit of ERS, maybe to get a little bit closer to secure that DRS bit, but wait, he actually might be going for a move if he keeps right behind Tony on the start of this race. He's not, he's 4/10 behind, so no chance for it. As Team Bayer would get third if it wasn't for Justin Chevalier not having penalties, unlike the McLaren driver. Then we would have Richard Sprogis on the 5th. Lucas Liefroyd would have been overtaken by Fraser Robertson because of the 5-second time penalty. Unless that's a in-race time, track limits time penalty. But we cannot look up that one as one of the rules of the streams led by myself. We want to get a little bit surprised at the end. Cool, Pavlakovic. Maybe let's check on his tire state. Going well, no issues. Just comfortably on the 8th. Yellow flags are crossed by Ferry. Same corner, this time with no driver around. Which leads to him dropping to 13th. Which I may believe now is going to be a fast lap attempt. And Ferry, don't you dare crashing out, calling a late safety car. Although we've got wing damage, so that's understood that we've gone wide. Now, having that, the question is, well, Quill being overtaken by Jonathan isn't really the question, as Jonathan tries to do it before the DRS zone. But wasn't quite doing it now. Could Pavlakovic stop using DRS? This might be an open chance for Jonathan to send it down the inside. He goes for it and makes it stick. Position number 8 for the Ferrari driver after a spin with Richard Sprogis. Ferry Wagoner goes to the pits as his only hope to get points today is a fastest lap of today's Grand Prix. We'll see if he's going for it with the tire menu. Well, he's going to have a quite long way into the pit lane, so we'll definitely note about that, as he probably is going for the softs regardless. Yes, he is. So that is the fastest lap attempt made by Free Wagoner. As long as he gets his front wing fixed. And I believe he did. Now he also has to watch out for Tony Ritchie and Drake Dempsey not to lap him. It's not out of the question. Free Wagoner just comes out of the pit lane. Will need to let his teammate pass as well. Which gives him one less chance for a proper fastest lap attempt. Imagine he's the only driver going to be lapped, as Georgievich is already losing over 3 seconds to Lutinsky, which makes Lutinsky into the points, assuming he's got only one time penalty for exit track limits, which is 3 seconds. I think Red Bull drivers will try to go for the fastest lap as well, unless they're awaiting Pawlakovich's and Georgievich's puncture, which may allow Hugo Nilsson going into 10th. But Will is nowhere near getting a puncture. He's 25 laps old mediums and just chilling. This driver is so lucky that he actually goes into the pit lane in Netherlands on softs, which are like 10 to 15 laps old. I don't remember exactly now. Look when it goes into the pits, by the way. It gets a puncture into the pit lane. In the pit lane, actually. Which makes no influence on his race time. That is the level of managing the tires made by Kul Pawlakovich. So, him getting points on the 9th place is not out of the question. Although should have pitted on safety car. As we enter the second final lap of the race, meanwhile, is Drake looking for a move on Tony Ritchie, or is he going to stay second? Which basically means himself equaling the record of wins in a row in PSF1, or actually in any tier. It's not going to happen this season at least. It's cloudy around here in Hungary already, but we will not see any rain as Justin Chevalier's podium dream is out. He spins around on the penultimate lap of the race, gets a front wing damage. However, I think if he doesn't pit, he's still going to finish 8th, at least. So he just needs to defend successfully from the two drivers behind him. Now we're moving to Drake and Tony to see if there's any move happening into the final lap of this race. Not quite yet, but we still got one more DRS zone. Tony Ritchie also using all of his ERS, which means although Drake managed his ERS pretty well, he still did not find that opportunity to make a move. So we move to Justin Chevalier with Fraser Robertson and Jonathan Foss. Well, actually, Jonathan Foss is more interesting overtaking Fraser rather than Justin. He goes down the inside, a very slow scent, a slow type of scent, but he's made it. And Justin Chevalier also loses the place to Fraser Robertson, and I believe he's going to finish on position number 8, although they are still side by side, a little bit of a tap, but I think that is Justin oversteering into the back, or into the side of Fraser Robertson. That's just my opinion though. You have to consider that he's got wing damage, as Richard Sprogge is out of the race on the final lap as well. What is going on in this final stage of the race? Richard Sprogge spun out on the exit of turn 7, which basically, as we're speaking about Kul Pawlakovich, he was about to finish 9th, but he's now 7th on 27 laps old mediums. What a disaster for Richard Sprogge at the end of the race. We forgot to see Tony Ritchie finishing this race at front of Drake Dempsey. And then we've got team buyer Lucas Leafroyd on position number 4. Is Lutinsky going for a send on Quill? No, he's probably going to stay 8th because he's got the time penalty regardless. How about Justin Chevalier? Is he going to lose 7/10 of a second into final corners? Don't think so. He just lost a 10th as Fraser Robertson finished 6th, Jonathan was 5th, Paweł Lutinsky 7th, 8th, and that is Chevalier overtaking Maciej. Georgievich on 10th, Hugo Nilsson with a chance to get a fast lap, so we'll see on that one. Luke Mills is going for it, he's gone for it already as well. Hugo Nilsson already a second ahead of his best lap time, but we don't have data on that one right now. Yeah, disaster for Richard Sprogis. Some of Jonathan's fans in the chat, like Mitch, are satisfied because, well, that was a big stand made by him, as Hugo Nilsson does not get the fastest lap. Luke Mills does. Why? Although he's not going to set it right now, he's got one earlier on. At least I believe that. At the end of the day, chaotic Hungarian Grand Prix, definitely more chaotic than Singapore. Apart from lap 1, of course. But, great performance from Team Bayer, who after a spin got back into the podium places. But my personal driver of the day is Klub Pavlakovic. 27 laps old mediums. No way. He's just doing the greedy. Oh no, Tony, what have you done? Seriously? What is this? Seriously, what is this? Hitting the greedy. But at least he can't, he's won the race. As we unfortunately don't get any champagne going on the track. No champagne celebrations. Oh, we celebrate with empty bottles because I turned off particles for one of league race. Anyway, these are the final results, and we're actually getting to see them. Tony Ritchie wins the Hungarian Grand Prix right ahead of Drake Dempsey. Also, thank you, Tony, for finishing this race in 52 minutes rather than 51 minutes and 59 seconds. Definitely easier for me when it comes to making the standings. Team Bayer, first pole position. Not the greatest race, but still a podium. He should take it. Lucas Liefeld also got just 3 seconds, so he definitely served that 5 seconds somewhere. Finishing 4th, though, with 3 pit stops, which is quite nice. Jonathan Voss started on 5th, finished 5th. Fraser Robertson, then the 6th. Klub Pavlakovic, as we said, 27 laps old mediums to get into 7th. Chevalier, Lutinsky, and Djurdjevic to round out the top 10. I believe this is Djurdjevic's first point. Actually, not the first point, but the second point in Ero Pc F1. Let me just make sure about it. It's a third point. Hugo Nilsson, Luke Mills, Richard Sprogis, Ferry Wagoner, have finished outside the top 10, and then we've got Wales, Parv, Bakali, Carrington, and Bilbas failing to finish the race, unfortunately. As we're currently in the conference room, and we'll be probably joined by Drake, definitely. I don't know how about Tony and Dre and Tim though, but we'll definitely ask them. Drake, Tony, and Tim. F1 Conference VC. That's it. As we're already joined by the second place finisher, Drake Dempsey is with us. Well, Tony Richard has returned and already won the race, so that is a very interesting one. At least it was interesting, and there was a little bit of a tension when it comes to your own fight, but overall, good race from you, so tell us how you feel about it. Well, the safety cars definitely played a part today. A massive one, definitely. So, well, we're already moved to Tim Bayer now, who has got the first pole position of his career today in Ero. Although the race wasn't the luckiest one, you still managed to finish on the podium, so tell us about that bit of a recovery drive.
3 or 4 races, which I missed, but Yeah, like you said, the pole position was actually quite nice because I haven't practiced a lot because I'm not driving PCL anyways. So yeah, race was unlucky. I've got to be honest, I was a bit nervous in the first stint, and yeah, that resulted in a pen and a unlucky spin. But in the end, I can say it was a decent recovery from my side, and I'm even more happy for Tony, who got us a good result for Team Shizuo in general. And yeah, GG's to Drake and Tony.
Yep, I don't think we're joined by Tony Ritchie though. However, quick look on the championship standings, as that is unfortunate second then for Iron Blubas, but as I look at them, I believe Jonathan was finished 5th, but I'll definitely check on that later on. Luke Mills got the fastest lap point, and Jonathan Foss got 5th, I said. So that places, Drake of course won the championship already, 160 points ahead of Tony Ritchie with 118. Then Arjen Bilbas 3rd, 91. Ryan Grop 85. Jonathan Foss, I don't think he's finished in the points though. I need to make a real quick check. He finished 5th, okay. I was wrong in the second try. Anyway, Drake 1st, Tony 2nd, Arjen 3rd, Ryan 4th, Jonathan 5th, and Tim Bayer 6th. That is the top 6 of Ero Pc F1 as of now. Simon Acker has 68, Lukman 66, and then I'll do the standings after the live stream. So, thank you for joining the race, and we'll see you next week at Imola. One of the 2 tracks that we have moved into the Esports Challenges series. Anyways, see you next week at the same time.